Okay everyone, so welcome again to another one of our lessons here. So in this next lesson, let's just go and familiarize ourselves with how to use some of the basic tools here. So at least you'll have some idea with regards to how you can use Inkscape. So you will see here I have our commands bar, our snaps controls bar here, and we have our tools control bar here. So what we can do here guys, if you want, you can also try to change the view of some of your interface here or some parts of your interface. So I can select default here, so at least we'll have the commands bar on top of the tool controls bar, and you can also customize it. So you would see we now have both the commands bar and the tools controls bar on top. So let's first make sure that our document properties will be the same. So I would want this to be displayed in pixels, and I'm going to keep the show page border here so at least we will know where the page area is located. So at least we can keep the page area here. And again, this is the page area, this is the canvas, the toolbox, the palette, the status bar. So those are just some of the basic interface if you remember. Now let's go and select a circular, our tool here for creating circles. You would see that it opened some options for us here on top of the tools controls bar. So you would see it showed us some options. So these are just some options of the properties that this tool will be generating for us. So if I go and click on the left mouse button and drag, you would see I am able to go and drag around, and the circle is starting from the upper left corner, moving to the direction from where I'm dragging. Now, if I would want to go and let me just select that again and delete this. I would want to go and make sure that it starts from the center instead of the upper left corner. I'm going to press on the shift key and the control key, and you would see that the circle is starting instead from the corner, it's starting from the middle of the screen. Okay, so now that's our circle here. Now let me just zoom in here, and then let me just go and move this a little bit this way. So again, the side arrows here can help you resize the size of the object. Then from there, let's go and create another circle here, and let me choose a color here, white. I want it to be here, and I want to duplicate this, so at least we'll have two similar sized objects. Now I want to go and duplicate this one more time and then replace this with a black color. Then I'm going to zoom in. Then let me just go and press on Control and Shift. Okay, so you can resize this depending on how big you would want it to be. So let's go create a character here. You can try to resize this a bit. Control Z, resize it a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate this one more time so that we can also place it here. Okay, now let's go and duplicate this one more time, then change the color. So I would want the inner eye color to be orange. Then again, Control plus Shift. So sometimes it's the dragging that's dragging it might be difficult, guys, but at least let me just okay. Now let me just go and duplicate this one more time, place it here. I'm pressing on the control key right now so that I can have more control for the positioning. Then I want to duplicate this one more time because I just want to go and have an eyeball inside of this. So I'm going to use another black color here. Then control to zoom. And there we go. Control and zoom, and then again duplicate this so at least we can have the same. And I'm going to press on the control key to have more control in positioning the element, or the not the element but the object. So now I want to go and duplicate this one more time, and then again I'm going to minimize it or make it small. Then we can go and put this here. I can go and zoom in and then duplicate this also, place it in here so at least it will look like the white inside of an eye, right guys? So you will see we now have an eye. Simple eye. Let me just go back here. Now let's just go and duplicate both of this. I'm going to press on the shift key so that I can select the two objects here and then duplicate both of them and move them to the other side here. And again, I'm pressing on the control key right now to have more control. Okay, so that's our eyes of our object here, or of our character. Now let's go and try to create an ear. Let me go and select our rectangle here and then change the color to orange here. Then go to object, then or the path, object to path. Then I'm going to select the edit paths by node here. You would see that we have some nodes here, guys. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to create here an ear that will be a triangle. Okay, so you would see here we have some sort of a triangle ear here. So we can go and make selected node smooth. You can smoothen the selected node. Let me control Z this. I'm going to select this node here and then make selected node smooth. So at least it will look like smooth. Then let me go and use my select tool here. Then place it here. And let me just go and reposition this. If you want to remove the border here, guys, you can go to the view, or sorry, to the object here and fill in stroke. And you can go and remove the stroke. You will see that the stroke is gone, or the inner part is gone. But let's go here. There you go. You're able to remove the outer border by going to the stroke paint. We have the fill here for if you want to change the fill color. Let me just go and turn this into a little bit brown colored ear here. Depending on how you would want to apply colors in your character. So I can go and increase this size, the size of this. So I think this is a little bit too curvy, so just going to select this again. Try to lessen the curves here, just enough to make it as if it's an ear. Then let's go and duplicate this. Go back to the select tool, duplicate. Then let's go and try to flip selected object. I'm sorry, it should be rotate selection counterclockwise. Nope, that's not the one. So let's see here. So these are the flipping selections that you can use. So you would see here. Then you can go and there you go. So that's the correct way. Again, let me just repeat that so this you won't get confused. So I'm going to duplicate this, then you flip selected objects horizontally, and there you go. We have that over there. Okay, so we now have this here on top, and this will be our ears. Just wanted to make this as our ear. Use this as our ear. Now I'm going to delete this. So we can adjust this, guys. Let me just adjust this a little bit. So at least it will not be too big. Okay, so that will be our ears. Now let's go and try to create a beak. So I'm going to use the square here again. Then let's choose a color here. Object to path. I'm going to use the node here. Or let's go and use this first. Transform. And let's go and now let's go and readjust this a little bit. Then here I'm going to select this node, turn it to smooth. Let's now select this and then put this here. Let me just zoom out. Then go back up here. Then minimize this. Oops. Want to create a small beak here. You can minimize this depending on how you think it will look good, guys. So now we have a beak here. The mouth of the bird. Okay. So you would see here it's composed of layers. Each parts that we are building here for the character is composed of layers. So I can go and put a stroke paint here. And you would see that the character that we are building here is actually composed of just circles and squares. So let's go and change the stroke paint here. Let's see here, we can go and change the stroke paint. We can use RGB. Let's see if we can go, or use the color wheel if you want. You can go and use the color wheel. I want it to be black. So there you go. RGB or color wheel are the two options that I usually used for the stroke paint. So you will see we were able to change the border of the beak or the mouth of the bird into black. Now let's go and try to work on, let's go and select orange here, then go here. Let me just thinking about using this as a small neck. So let's go bring this layer down, then minimize it. Then I'm going to select this as the body for the body. So you would see, everyone, that this is how you can actually play around with Inkscape. And most of the parts that you can work with are actually composed of circles, rectangles, and just minimize this a little bit. Okay, just increase this. Then this one, I would want to go and objects to paths, object to path. Then I'd like it to focus if it's a neck, right? So going back here, I want to minimize this just enough so that at least we'll have some sort of a neck. And this one, I want to remove the stroke. Also for this one, I want to remove the stroke. So at least it would seem like. You can also go and let's go and add a node here and make a simple curve here. You'll see we can actually go and do that also. Okay, then move it up here, then move it down. Let's increase the neck area of our bird here. Okay, so it's looking like there's a body now connected to the neck of the bird. So we can make the bird a little bit fat. And okay, so we now have our neck area connecting our body here. You can actually go and, by the way, everyone, you can group this, all of this by dragging and selecting. Then you group. So you would see now you can move the whole object already all together. So now that we have that, let's go and try to create another circle here that we can try to play around with. Let's just go and change the color to brown, almost the similar color with the head of the bird. Then play around with the nodes here. Object to path. Let's go and play around with this. Let's see what we can do with this. So we can move this, we can move this. So let's first move this here. Then again here. You can play around with this, everyone, so at least you would see that you can play around with the nodes here. So we can just go and try to just adjust this. So perhaps we can move that a bit. Then we can put this here. So let's see here, we can go make selected nodes corner. So at least it will look like as if it's a corner area. See how that will look. Just again corner, so at least it will be looking more sharper. Oops, it looks a little as you would see it's a bit sharper, the corner part here. Okay, I think that let's just readjust this a little bit. Adjust this for our bird's feather or wings. Okay, think now let's go and see how this will look. Let's select this and also turn it into a corner. Okay, now our bird has a wing that we can play around with here. Let's adjust this a bit. Okay, let's see here. Adjust this up, down. Okay, you can move it to increase the, here we can also do that. Now let's just go and duplicate this. Then select and then flip. So we have another one here. I'm pressing on the control key here. Now let's just go and create two boxes here. So let's go a little bit darker or lighter color, orange. The characters that you're building may not be needed to have this kind of color, guys. You can just go and play around with it depending on how you like the color the color combination that you're using. Just going to use a light color here, or we can use also the the foot for the foot area. So let me go back here and object to path. So this you can play around with or you can go and smoothen the corners if you want. So this it will look as if it's a bird's foot. Duplicate. We have some bird's foot here. Let's select the node here. Can adjust this a little bit. So this it will look as if it's the foot of our bird here. Duplicate. And I'm currently pressing the control key here. So you can play around and you can maximize the use of your imagination, everyone. I'm pressing on control or the shift key here, guys. So there we go. We now have a bird. You now have a new bird character. You can adjust the size of our bird character here. So we have a bird character created from Inkscape. Simple character design, guys. I'm hoping that this gave you some ideas on how you can go and play around with Inkscape. You can still go and try to smoothen up some of the parts here if you want. So we can actually go and try to connect this here. Let's also do that here. Let's try to connect this here. Now let's go and try to select all, then group. Then let's go save as. Then let me just go and save it. You can save it as a plain SVG or an Inkscape SVG. So these are some of our options here. So let me just go and al.svg. Now let me just go and open from our directory here. So you would see now that I have it here. And we now have our SVG image created from Inkscape. We now have our first character. So another option to do here, everyone, will be to save it in PNG, because if you're going to send this image to someone and they don't have Inkscape installed in their computer, you can actually go and export it as a PNG image. So you will see here we have options to export area, the whole page. We can export the drawing, we can export the selection, the custom. So let's see what it look like if I go and try to export as PNG bitmap.png here. Let's go and save this here in our directory here, all.png 1.png. Let's save this. So we selected the page here. So let me just go back to our directory here and let's see how that will look. So export first before, of course, you export as owl.png in this directory, and then you click the export here. And let's go to our directory here. So we can see here that it's here in our, you would see it's a whole page. You would see here. Then let's go and try to do the selection. Let me just select this and export as G1089. And there we go. You will see it only selected the selection of the object that we have created. Okay. So let me just rename this. Oops. Let's go back to our, my mouse is malfunctioning, guys, so I do apologize. Let me go back here. Rename this owl-2.png. So we have our SVG file, we have our page version of PNG, and we have our selection version of our PNG. So I'm hoping everyone that this video lesson gave you some ideas with regards to how we can maximize and use Inkscape for creating characters. So at least you have an idea, initial idea, and I would highly recommend that you go and play around with this because this is a very powerful tool already that you can maximize and use for free. You would see that there's no watermarks and you don't have to pay for anything. I would suggest that if you ever get some ROI already, donate also in the project because that helps the producers of the open source software. So guys, that will be all for this section. I'm just hoping that you go and try to maximize the things that you've learned here, especially if you're planning to go into game development. This is very, very useful. And I'm hoping that this will be helping you out in your future projects. So thank you everyone and see you on our next lessons.